I didn't know what to tell him. I just kept telling him, we're okay. My mind, I was praying.
I'll move it over here. That was Lynne Breton, a teacher from Briarwood Elementary. She's certainly happy to report that all of her kids are okay. Everybody in that school is. She's just one of many people coming forward with heroic stories. It has been a miserable day here. As you know, there has been rain and thunder and lightning. The skies have now just cleared. It's getting quite warm. Hopefully that will get people out to help in some of the recovery efforts that we saw really starting in earnest yesterday. The principal of Briarwood is going to join me tonight on AC 360. This is our special coverage from Moore, Oklahoma. There's a lot to tell you about in this hour. Each day, we've been meeting people whose lives have been forever changed by Monday's tornado. Their stories of survival and loss are incredible to hear. 24 people, as you know, were killed during the storm. Now, one of them was a man named Hemant Bhonde. As the tornado ripped apart his home, the winds tore him out of the arms of his wife. Hemant was 65 years old. He was in poor health. Their last words were, "I love you." His wife, Jerrie, survived the storm, but she was injured. She was in the hospital. I talked to her and her daughter, Nita, yesterday at Integris Hospital. Do you remember what happened during the tornado?
My husband and I went into our middle room, which is normal in Oklahoma. You go to your middle bathroom, you know, where there's no windows and I heard it coming, but I thought, well, we'll just take the windows. I felt like I was in a blender.
You felt like you were in a blender?
That's the best way to describe it. The wall just kind of came down on me, and they just kind of swirled. And I held on to my husband as long as I could, and he just flew into space.
You you felt him flying away?
Yeah, and I don't know where he went.
Were you speaking to each other during the storm?
Yes.
What were you saying?
Well, he was telling me how much he loved me, and I said, I love you. And the whole house just went.
The whole house all around you?
It's gone.
Were things hitting you while you were in the bathroom?
Yes, yes. That's, you see, I mean, I'm cut all over.
That's how you got the abrasions on your face?
Well, that's the least of it.
And you were saying you feel like your husband flew to heaven?
Yeah, I do. I have no, I know he's taken care of.
And that gives you peace?
Yes. Okay, and I know I was left on Earth. I have a few broken ribs and a lot of cuts, but I was left on Earth because I've still got work to do.
How are you doing?
Okay. You know, we talk about the outlooks and everything, and then, you know, very positive. And like I said, Dad was positive. He wouldn't want us to be crying, and right now it's, you know, now it's staying positive and knowing that he's in a better place, not in pain anymore, and stock exchange in the sky is where he's at, probably.
You like the stock exchange?
He's a big stock market guy.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Where will you... So many families have suffered such loss here. Jerrie went on to tell me that she will rebuild again with the help of her daughter and her friends and her mom. The medical center took a direct hit from the tornado. Luckily, workers, patients, their families escaped. Coming up, we're going to hear from a hospital manager who helped clear everyone out and saved everyone. When did you find out that she'd passed away?
Well, the EMT guy was over there, and she'd been holding on to his pant leg. He was standing next to her, and she had her fingers gripping his pant leg, and he kept talking to her, and all of a sudden her arm went limp, and he'd taken, some military guy had taken his shirt off, and he'd had that over her chest where kind of keep her warm, and he pulled it up over her face. wasn't gone, that she was breathing.
So sad. That's Joy Waldrop. I spoke to her yesterday. She's recovering in the hospital. Her daughter, Shannon Quick, died in front of her in the aftermath of the tornado. She leaves behind 2 sons, ages 8 and 13. One of them is still in intensive care, had surgery yesterday. They were all together when the storm hit. You're watching our special coverage live from Moore, Oklahoma. People in this town are starting the painful task of burying the 24 people killed by the tornado. A funeral was held today for 9-year-old Antonia Candelaria. She was described as someone who danced, not walked, to the beat of her own drum. She and 6 other students, as you know, were killed at Plaza Towers Elementary School. The incoming superintendent of Moore Public Schools says the 2 elementary schools destroyed by the EF5 tornado will be rebuilt. The weather here is again a problem. It's been a miserable day. Storms today are hampering recovery efforts. It's sunny right now, but we have seen severe rain, lightning, and thunder. Authorities warn that strong winds could turn debris into projectiles. More bad weather is expected. Hospitals, as we know, prepare for dealing with emergencies like the one here in Oklahoma. But when this storm hit, the local hospital was in the direct path of the tornado. Moore Medical Center was ripped apart. None of the patients inside was seriously hurt, which is incredible when you look at those images at the exterior structure of it. And that's really in large part to the hospital staff rushing to get the patients to safe places. Nick Stremble is a registered nurse, the emergency department manager for the hospital. He tells us what it was like as the storm approached. He joins us now. It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
So as the storm was coming, what did you do?
Well, we were aware of the storm was on its way. We had somewhere between about 15 to maybe 18 minutes warning. You know, we have a safety officer at one of the locations, you know, that's monitoring the weather. So we had, as adequate as we could have, you know, warning that something was going to happen. So we had plenty of time to kind of game plan, you know, because we had a disaster plan to follow. So I was able to touch base with all the other nurse managers that were in the building, the 2 others, and kind of game plan where the patients were going to go and at what time we were going to start moving them.
So you take them out of the rooms, and where do you bring them?
The first thing that I did was, yes, take the emergency department patients that we had at the time out of their rooms and move them to the interior of the hospital. There's centralized portions of the building that are designated safe zones, so we moved them out and got them to the safe zones. And then after that, I kind of left my charge nurse, Sally. She was in charge there, so I kind of left her with that. And then moved on to kind of game plan with the other nurse managers in the upstairs departments on how we were going to get those patients to the safe spots.
And I understand at one point people were putting mattresses, blankets over people's heads just to protect them.
Absolutely. Lots of blankets, I mean, lots of padding, the best that we could do. You know, we went upstairs to game plan how we were going to get the inpatients out, the medical surgical patients, and the plan for those folks. So, you know, my partner in all of this, Shannon, the nurse manager from that portion of the building, you know, really talked through how we were going to do it, set the plan in motion, got the people moving. Luckily, most of the patients up there were somewhat mobile, so a lot of them were able to walk. We got them in wheelchairs, got them downstairs to the safe zones.
18 minutes, though. That's not a lot of time when you're dealing with patients in all different kinds of distress. What was the worst moment? I mean, what was the most difficult time?
The most difficult time, personally, was going upstairs for kind of my final check, just to make sure that there was nobody left in the upstairs portion of the building. I went down all the hallways, banging on doors, yelling, just to make sure there was no stragglers, no visitors, somebody had wandered up there. And that was really it. I found out, we came back downstairs, found out that there was, in fact, one more patient upstairs with the nurse manager and 2 other nurses that was in the process of giving birth. So I ran back upstairs and talked to them and, you know, found out where they were. They were in the surgery suite, and that's why I didn't see them the first time I went around. Went up to the surgery suite, met with them, discussed what we were going to do, and, you know, she was in the process of giving birth, so you know.
What do you do?
We felt that it wasn't the best thing to do was to leave her right where she was and get her in the safe location and stay right there. And so basically, that's what they did. And
so
I told them.
She continued to labor all during the tornado.
Absolutely, they stayed. The nurse manager and 2 of the nurses stayed with that patient the entire time. You know, we game planned what we were going to do. I helped coordinate, and then basically said, get every blanket you can, pad her up, and I'm going back downstairs to deal with this, and you know, we're going to roll the dice and see what happens.
And was she okay?
She was absolutely fine. All the nurses that stayed with her. The baby got delivered about 45 minutes later. Once we moved her downstairs, got out of the building, onto an ambulance, and to another facility.
Well, that mom has a story to tell for the rest of her life. No other mother can complain about delivery. I mean, that's going to be the worst delivery story ever.
And those 3 nurses that were with her, I mean, stayed the entire time, and you know, there was a point when I left them and ran downstairs. There's a waiting room with a big bank of windows that faces the southwest, and that's when I knew that we had seconds. I mean, I walked out of that hall, saw into the waiting room, and the huge vacant windows, I saw the tornado in the neighborhood across the street. I mean, there was debris in the air. I mean, I knew that we had a couple of seconds.
Do you worry the building might not hold, that the safe zones might not hold? Because, I mean, when you look at the exterior structure of the building, I mean, it's just ripped to shreds.
I was worried, but I thought, you know, there was a moment that I was downstairs with my charge nurse, Sally, with the other nurse manager, Shannon, and, you know, Shannon asked me, okay, what do we do now? Where do we go now? And I just thought, okay, well, we're going to hold on, and we'll sort that out after this passes, and that was what happened.
And could you actually, I mean, could you hear the storm? Could you feel it when it hit?
There was different areas where patients were, patients and community members that were, you know, we had a lot of community members come in looking for shelter, so we directed them into the safe zones as well, to the cafeteria, and then there was a patient care area where the actual patients were that were also in the central portion of the building. You know, like I said, I came down the stairs after kind of seeing the tornado through the windows. I came down the stairs, rushed into the hallway, which is in the central, central hallway in the building, which is also one of the safe zones. Got behind the fire doors, and you know, as all that was happening, you could feel. I mean, you could already feel the wind coming in through the front doors. The glass, you know, had just kind of broken out as I was stepping out of the stairwell, and got behind the door and held on. There was, you know, it was a double door, double fire doors. One of them got ripped open. And, you know, that's when the hallway turned into a bit of a scary scene. I mean, I could probably guess there was about 30 people in the hallway. I, you know, was behind one of the fire doors and kind of got stuck between, you know, when one of the doors ripped open, the pressure, I mean, at that point, you know, all bets were off. And the door that I was behind opened up and kind of pinned me against a wall. So I kind of had a unique perspective of, you know, I mean, I felt safe because I'm between a huge door and a wall, and I'm looking down the hallway and was able to see, you know, all the folks there just kind of rolling and tumbling. The wind was just incredible.
So the wind is actually whipping through the hall.
Straight through that hallway.
And people are tumbling through the hall.
Absolutely.
Unbelievable.
And then once it passed, you know, I stood up and could not, everybody that was down at the end of the hall that kind of ended up in a bit of a pile just started to stand up, brush off, and I couldn't believe everybody got up so quick. And then at that point, sorting through, you know, okay, I need to know if you're injured, I need to know what we're going to do. You know, start filtering this way, and I need to know who's injured and who's not. And I was absolutely surprised that there was really no injuries. I saw, I mean, a lot of bumps, lots of bruises, obviously, scrapes and cuts. But it's really just, I mean, it's really a testament to the staff that was there, to everybody that helped out, and getting the people where they needed to be. And that's why that many people walked out alive.
Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you so much for all you did.
I really appreciate it.
Incredible. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Amazing, amazing. During these times, lending a helping hand can mean everything. To help those affected by the tornado, visit impactyourworld at CNN.com. There's a lot of resources there to help people.